kitchen in the great state of Texas. Hi, Ricki.
Good morning. Good
How
morning,
are you?
everybody. From Texas, I'm wonderful. Welcome to my kitchen. This is Ricki's kitchen. And the flowers are on the other side of the thing here, but the food is here. So we're ready today.
That's fantastic. And I just want
Great
to
to be
thank
here.
both of you for connecting with each other and helping to support the programming by your communications and the planning. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
Love doing it.
We love every second of it. It's great fun. It's an adventure.
It's wonderful.
Well, I realize that it takes an effort, it takes planning, it takes expense that you have to outlay money for. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
All right, so we're going to go over to Simon and then to Ricki so that you can each talk a little bit about your accomplishments as a chef, and don't be shy, and then tell us what you'll be preparing today. So I'm going to start with Simon.
Right. Hello, everybody. I'm Simon Macdonald. I'm in, I would normally say in the beautiful sunny West Highlands of Scotland, but it's not very sunny today. We have storms, gales, rain, you name it. Cats and dogs coming down. Horrific weather today. But there we go. It's coming into winter time, I suppose, so we've got to expect that sort of thing. Anyway, I have cooked around the world. I've cooked for all sorts of people, royalty, VIPs, you name it, we've done the lot. And I love it because I'm passionate about food. And we've all got to eat, so may as well be passionate about what you eat. And it's starting to show, I'm afraid, but there we go. That's all part and parcel of the thing. Anyway, tonight I'm doing ravioli. Never heard of it? No, I'm not surprised. It's a twist on ravioli. Ravioli is made with pasta. Ravioli is made with bread. It's very simple, but it's a lovely, easy dish. I really, really enjoy this, and it's something you can have for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. You can have it as a starter, just a snack. Troop downstairs in the middle of the night, midnight snack. Nothing easier than this one, and it is a lovely, simple one. But oh my God, it's so tasty. It's so easy to make, so beautiful. So I'm doing one which is more a sort of dinner type thing, and I've actually started doing a bit of prep work on it as well, a little bit of greenery. And these guys here, these are langoustine. Now, these are caught locally. We get these in our waters here. They're caught in creoles pots, similar to the lobster pot, a little bit smaller. Quite deep water, in excess of 20 fathoms or thereabouts. And it's one of Scotland's great exports. We eat a lot of them here, obviously, but there are a lot go around the world. Similar to the lobster, but better. They're sweeter, they're delicious meat, and they're great fun cracking into the shells as well afterwards. So I thought just use these as a bit of a garnish for tonight. So I'll just set this aside.
Simon, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Yes. So the langostinos, they look like they're alive, like they were just recently caught, but yet they're not, right?
Those were swimming this morning.
Okay, they look fresh.
You can't get them fresher than that. And I mean, the seas around here are full of them. So with these, I brought them in. I just boiled them, blanched them almost, just about a minute and a half in boiling water, and that's all it takes. Otherwise, you will overdo them. And the taste is just so good, but they should look vibrant. All the fish you buy should look as if it's still alive. It shouldn't smell of fish. And look at its eyes, and they will tell you, I'm ready, I'm here, I'm good, I'm fresh, I'm ready for you. So that's how you test your fish. It's got to be fresh.
One more question about that. So what about after we buy frozen fish and we defrost it? Should it still have that vibrant color?
Is this a hark back to last week with your dinner?
Yes, yes.
In freezing, there will be a slight transformation in color. Trouble, of course, you buy frozen fish. How long has it been frozen for? How long was it there before it was actually frozen? So, there's a lot of unanswered questions on the frozen, and they do lose a little bit of the flavor. But with modern methods where they're blast frozen using liquid nitrogen, it does seal in the vitamins and the freshness, but you will lose that little bit of flavor and a little bit of texture. Best fresh.
Thank you.
Right. So anyway, here we go. So the ingredients we've got tonight, simple: bread, There we are. A cutter of about that size, which is about 4.5 inches in US money. Smoked haddock. Again, when you buy smoked fish, buy it as a natural color like that. There's no dye or anything in this. It's just done with in a brine of just purely salt and water. In fact, this lot I know has been done with sea salt and water, and then smoked over oak chips, which are cut from whiskey barrels, which inevitably are actually made from American oak. So there's a bit of transatlantic going on there. And it's just got a lovely texture. It's what we call cold smoked. So the temperature in smoking never goes above 30 degrees. So it's not actually cooked, but it's cured. And it's a lovely smell, this beautiful oaky smell. Slight background notes of other smells. If you've got the refined palate, I would notice that this has been done with oak cut from whiskey barrels. Apart from that, I know the person who smoked it as well. And I know he uses oak barrels, ex-whiskey barrels. So we've got that. And then brie. This is a Scottish brie. The French are brilliant at making brie. It is essentially a French cheese. But in Scotland, we've got a couple of producers that are coming out with a really, really excellent brie. So I'm keeping it local, keep the air miles down. We have an egg, ordinary hen's egg, and we have milk, bit of salt and pepper, and that's it. And we have the pan over here with oil in it, and the rest is just magic. So to start with, get your bread and your cutter in the middle, just ordinary white bread. You want a fairly soft bread for this one. And then just cut a disc out. There's one. Oops. My cutter's needing sharpened. Tut, tut, tut. Can't get the stuff. Pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So that's one. And this is a portion for one I'm doing tonight. So you need 4 slices of bread for it. And there we do. We go around it this way, and that's how to get around with a dull cutter. That one can go away. There's very little wastage on that bread, and a lot of people don't eat their crusts. Oh, as a kid, did you get into trouble for not eating your crusts? Most of us did. I did. And then I discovered actually the crusts are quite tasty, and you can do all sorts of things with them. You can make croutons with them, and all sorts of different things. So that's our 4 slices of bread that are now discs. And what I'm going to do, a little bit of milk in this plate, and you just put milk on one side of the bread, not both sides, just enough to wet it and no more. So it's in and out and kept aside. Onto this, again, in and out, in and out, in and out. And that's it. So I've got the milk side pointing up the way. Now I'm going to add a bit more milk into here now. You all remember French toast. Oh, it's so nice. It really is. It's just a great thing. Crack the egg, whack it in, whole egg, whisk it up a little bit. Just add a bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. There we go. So just whisk this up. There we go. That's just as simple as that. Kids could make this if you trust them with a knife. So we're going to go what? We'll have the haddock first. Now, just check your knife's right. If your knife's needing a bit of sharpening and you're going to use a steel, don't make the mistake that most people do by going that way, because you'll finish up cutting your wrists and it makes a heck of a mess over the food and the kitchen floor. Somebody's got to clean it up. So put your knife point on a towel like that to stop it slipping. The sharpening point, sharpener onto the point like that, live television. And then your knife blade at an angle down the way, so the stroke's down. That way you can't cut anything other than the towel. And so a few strokes down like that on either side of the knife, and you've got a lovely sharp blade again. So the haddock, and if you're in South Africa, what they call haddock there is actually smoked hake. So if you're watching in South Africa tonight, I know there are one or two, then get the hake will do. The hake will do. You want this cut so it fits inside the bread, but not right to the edges. Just a little bit like that on one and on the other. So there we are. It's such an economic dish. That left over we can use for later. For something else, many other dishes, or make more of these. Next, we've got the brie. Again, check. Now that knife's fine. So I'll just take the rind away from there just now. So we've got clean slices. And then take a slice there, about just 1/10 of an inch. And then the same again for size, so that it's not as wide as the diameter. Lay it on top of the hake or the haddock, whichever. Just enough to let a little bit more there just to cover. And then for the other side, the same again. And there we go. Piece there and a piece there. I love this brie. It is so nice, and it's very young, so it's not pungent and overly powered for smelling. You want it to be quite subtle. So young brie works best with this. Now next, we lift this out. There we are. Keep everything away from the edges. Put one over the top, and then just press down all around the edge, all the way, and that just seals it in nicely. There we go. So that is effectively your ravioli, or bravioli, as this should be. So we do the same again with the other one, this one. So again, the milk side goes to the inside. Just press that. It's lovely and gooey. It's really nice. So press that in there like that, all the way around, and that's you've got the other one. So what we're going to do with this is give that another little stir, and then dip this in the egg mix with milk that's been salted and peppered. Just sit it there, and the same with the other one, and that's done like that there. There we go. Oh, messy paws. Messy paws. Love messy paws. Right. Put the gas on. I love this pan. This pan, again, it's one of my set of copper pans, and the whole pan is actually made of 3-ply. Normally, pans you buy today, the base is quite thick because it's got stainless steel on the bottom, it's got a core of aluminium, and then it's got more stainless steel on the top, making sandwich. Well, the whole pan is like that. It's all 3-ply, and it allows the heat to disperse evenly right throughout. It actually cuts down on cooking time as well. It's a wonderful invention, and it's just a joy to cook with, absolute joy. So we have these. So just that oil is actually, I did heat it earlier. This is television. This is one I almost prepared earlier. So what we're doing now is we'll just pop that in there, and that one in there. Put that aside. Oh, mucky paws, mucky paws. Just wipe that clear. Because the next thing I've got to do is bring it across the plate. And while those are just starting to sizzle away, what I did here was just a light bit of greenery around it, mostly rocket, and then the langoustine, which I thought at the last minute, because they were there this morning when I went to get the haddock from my fishmonger. He had these beautiful langoustines literally just in the door, and they were caught out in the loch, sea loch, just outside the shop. So it was just as fresh as you can possibly be. Just, they're so nice. These are a real treat. If you can find them, even if you're buying the frozen ones, delicious, absolutely delicious. So this is starting to sizzle away nicely. I'll just turn it over a bit there. And turn it over. I could do with an overhead camera in this place so that we can get a better view here, but one of these days. So we just give that a moment or two more, and then we plate it up and we eat it. Now, if you're doing this with breakfast, have some bacon with it. Nice piece of streaky bacon's best because it's got a much better flavor. And you could wrap the bacon around the outside of the ravioli if you like, or you could use some on the inside. For a lunch, just as in, you could add poached egg on top. I did that for another show. You can add whatever you like. It's, recipes are there as an inspiration. They don't follow them to the letter unless it's for baking. Baking, yeah, do that to the letter. So that's just about ready there. Yeah, just a moment more, and these will be just ready to go on the plate. Oh, am I looking forward to this? I'm hungry. See, I thought the show was actually, I've got all my timings mixed up because we changed over from British Summer Time to Greenwich Mean Time, and it throws my body clock out completely. So I was sort of thinking at 5 o'clock, am I hungry or not? I don't know, but I am now. And here's dinner. And we're ready. So what will be happening on the inside is, I'll just draw that over a little bit closer. See, you've just got that lovely little bit of color on there. On the inside, well, the haddock doesn't actually need cooking because, as I said, it is cured, but it will now be warmed. But the brie will have melted through it just absolutely perfectly. So that one can go on top like that. And there we have it. Now, I'll just open the top one up. They are, piping hot. Oh, now starting to get the smell, delicious smell of the haddock coming through. And the brie is just starting to ooze slightly. So I will show you that in just one moment. Just do that and that. Pretties it up a little bit. And there we have it. This is a banquet on a plate. It is so delicious. Like the smells, believe me, the smells in this kitchen just now are absolutely awesome. So, everybody, an easy dish to do with simple ingredients: white bread, smoked haddock, a piece of brie, a little bit of salt and pepper, an egg, and some milk. And that's it. Just that easy like that. Everybody?
Simon, that looks fabulous.
Oh, you don't know the half of it. That's just so tasty.
What would you pair it with in terms of a beverage?
You want something fairly light. Possibly a Sauvignon Blanc. What have we got here? Champagne works with everything. Believe me, champagne is, it is fantastic. But I've got one here. And this is from the south of France. This is Picapul Pinet. It's from the Hérault area. It's a very small production, and this goes so well with seafood of any description. It's it's got just light crisp notes without being too acidic, and there's pear, there's a bit of lemon, a bit of apple there as well. It's a delicious wine on its own, but that works beautifully with that. So Picapul Pinet from the south of France. And I had the privilege of living in that area. Oh boy, that was so regular.
Thank you, Simon.
Okay. That was good fun. Now I've got even more fun because I've got to eat it.
Now you get to enjoy what you've created. Fantastic.
Indeed,
Oh my gosh,
yes.
I'm hungry. It's almost lunchtime here.
Well, that's it. Now you're coming up with our pudding.
And well, actually, what we're going to do.
Hi, Hyatt. Hyatt Ives is watching. Great to
Hello,
see and
Hyatt.
watch you. Thanks, Hyatt.
Yeah.
All right, Ricki, we're turning over to you now.
All right. I just want to say, Simon, that looks absolutely marvelous. And I just may try that because I love anything with brie.
Mm.
And now that you've done the main course, we will have dessert. Or if you're so inclined, you can have dessert first and then, because I think the wine would go with both. At any rate, today what we're doing from Texas are chocolate zucchini cupcakes, which means they're chocolate cupcakes, but they have a little healthy note. And especially if you have children or grown-up children who don't like to eat their veggies, you can sneak the zucchini into the cupcakes. So that's one thing that we're going to do today. And we begin by shredding the zucchini. And this one is probably about close to 8 inches long because we need 2 cups of shredded zucchini. And I'm going to shred it by hand. You can use a food processor if you so choose. I like to do things by hand just because I do. And so I'm going to give it a start here. And it doesn't take very long, and supposedly it stays in the bowl. It did yesterday, but let's see how we're doing. It seems to be moving this morning. All right. Whoop. I'm going to do it this way. So we'll gather it on the table. It really goes quickly. And I'm using a rather large part of the grater so that we get chunky pieces for skinny chunky pieces. And the thing I love about muffins this way, or cupcakes as these are, because we're going to frost them, that officially makes them cupcakes, but you could make them sans frosting if you like, without the frosting, and you could have a muffin. And the taste is very, very interesting because you really don't taste the zucchini, but what you taste is the richness of the chocolate. And I'm using almond flour today. So these are gluten-free for those out there who need to be gluten-free. And if you haven't tried being gluten-free, there's so many, many, many different things that can be done. Even something like the bread ravioli could be done with a certain kind of gluten-free bread, if you so desired. We've got close to 2 cups here. I'm going to keep going because I want to get the full 2 cups in here. You could also do something like coconut. You could get shredded coconut and use that as well. We'll have to do a little bit of cleanup because the zucchini, being fresh and live, is all over the place. So we're going to have to clean that up a little bit. But that makes things more fun. And we'll have almost 2 cups here. Let's see. That looks pretty much like 2 cups to me. We'll just make sure we get all the little shreds off the bottom as well as the top. And then just give it a shot more. And of course it's really nice because it has a nice little handle to hold on to. Don't chop that off before you start grating, because we prefer zucchini without pieces of fingers or nails. As Simon said, if it gets bloody in the kitchen, it's very messy to clean up. So we've got our zucchini, which I will gather up the strays and put it in there. And just for fun, I will measure it just to make sure I'm on it. And as he said, when you're baking, you do want to be a little more precise than when you're doing something other than baking and creating a different kind of dish other than baking something. Ah, yes, we have 2 cups. And usually when you have a recipe that says 2 cups, it means once the fruit or vegetable is finished. In other words, if you're chopping it, it's just shy of 2 cups, but we're still going to use it. Okay, that's perfect. So we have our zucchini. And then we add 3 eggs. And what I find are, by the way, the 3 cups, I found a measurement. It's 237 milliliters for 1 cup. So it would be approximately 470 milliliters for 2 cups of zucchini. Or 470 milliliters. I've got a nice little chart here that I've been using just to make the measurements and see what works together. Excuse me. And messy. Dry off the messy paws. And I like to use a whisk to do my mixing, especially for the dry things, but even for something like this where I'm mixing up eggs and a veggie that's been chopped up. And what I'll show you, just in case you don't believe me that the zucchini disappears into the veggie, here are 2 finished cupcakes just to bring them to you. One with a wee bit of icing and one without. And they're very chocolatey. So next, we have, the recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar, but being a nutritionist has me trying these recipes, and this is something that you can do as well at home, even with baking. What I've done in most of the recipes is cut the sugar either in half or 2/3 of it. So I'm using, rather than 2 full cups of sugar, I have about 1.25 cups of monk fruit and a combination of sugar with it. So I'm going to pour that in a little bit at a time, and you don't dump it in all at once. It's a lot easier to mix it if you pour it in just a wee bit at a time. Say a couple of tablespoons, or you can see how I'm pouring it. And mix it in thoroughly. And the monk fruit is one of the substitutes that I've found for baking is excellent, because it has the consistency, the same consistency as granulated sugar. And it's quite sweet. And I find that it doesn't have that back taste that certain other sugar substitutes or sweeteners have. And so I love the monk fruit, and I've been using it quite a while now. And I find that the recipes come out quite well. Okay, so that would be about 1.25 cups would be something like 290 milliliters. I'm kind of having fun converting this. All right, so we got our batter, and of course the sugar dissolves, so we're still kind of liquidy. And now we're going to add some grapeseed oil. Again, pour it in slowly and mix it, whisk it around as you're doing it. That gets it to mix more thoroughly. Okay, and it's getting to be a bit foamy now because, of course, of the egg whites. I don't know if you can see it. It's hard to tilt it without spilling it, and that would be messy. So here we go. All right, next we have 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And watch carefully. You can use, in place of vanilla, you can also use, if you like the flavors, almond extract. But for this particular one with the chocolate and the zucchini, I'm going to stick with the vanilla extract. So that's one thing that you can do as a substitute, if you like. So we have our 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And now we're going to let this sit and mix our dry ingredients in a different bowl. And you always mix your dry ingredients into your wet ingredients because it's far better to combine them that way. So I'm going to take, this is actually almond flour, and I have 2 cups of it, which I'm putting into a 4-cup measuring bowl, and to which I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking powder. Nope, excuse me. A teaspoon of baking soda. So we're using a half teaspoon of baking powder. And of course, when you do the baking powder, if you leave the little aluminum foil thing that goes along the top, if you leave it halfway, it's very simple to take your soda out or your powder out and measure it and just wipe it off, and there you've got it. You've got the level teaspoon, or in this case, half teaspoon. And the same with the baking soda. And we do use a teaspoon of that. Interesting, yeah. I'm just going to give this, since I've got a half teaspoon here, I'm going to do 2 of these. 1, 2. And so there's our rising and leavening ingredients. And again, a whisk, but this one's dry. To mix the dry ingredients so that we get everything mixed thoroughly in there. And now for the best part, the chocolate. And this recipe calls just for, hello chocolate, cocoa powder, 2/3 of a cup. So I'm going to get my dry measure cup and measure in 2/3 of a cup. And we got about, not quite. And I'm using a heaping teaspoon, a tablespoon and a half as a measuring, as a scoop, really. So I've got almost my 2/3, and it never hurts to put in just a teeny bit more chocolate, especially if you like chocolate. So we're going to put that in, and again, I'm going to mix it with my whisk so that it distributes the chocolate evenly throughout the dry ingredients. And you can see when it comes together. And make sure you dig into the bottom so you get the flour that's on the bottom. It's beginning to smell absolutely wonderful. Okay. I find, as I say, the whisk is really the easiest thing to mix the dry ingredients especially, so that you get everything thoroughly mixed together. And if you don't have a 4-cup measuring cup, it's a wonderful thing to get because it's not only great for measuring, but it's great for mixing in too, for most things. And I'm going to take the other end of, well, the end of my spoon and just go around the bottom just to make sure I get all the dry ingredients mixed thoroughly. So sometimes it's like having a corner, but it's the bottom of the mixing, measuring cup. There we go. I did find some flour down there. So I'm going to mix it in thoroughly. All right, now we take our dry ingredients and mix again a little bit at a time. Just about half a cup each time, and mix it in to the eggs and everything else that's in there, so that you combine carefully and thoroughly. And I have to tell you, I'm really a newbie at baking, and I've found it to be absolutely joyful, especially when it results in something that people like to eat, myself included. And I'm totally enjoying the baking, which I've really never done. So this is kind of new for me, but lots of fun. And if anybody has any questions, if you can put them in the chat if you're joining us. And welcome to everyone in the UK and in the United States, around Texas. And I do believe we have somebody that's in from Canada. I'm not sure if she's here today, but I know she was here last week. Okay, we're just about, this is the most labor-intensive part of the whole thing. Just mixing up your ingredients so that they're thoroughly together, and it will get thicker so that it makes a lovely chocolate batter. And I've lined my muffin cups with parchment paper. They're parchment muffin cups. And I love the parchment cups because nothing sticks to them. So I don't have to add any extra oil or spray anything into the muffin pans so that nothing sticks and it releases easily. There we go. And I'm using a combination of things because we're going to take a bunch of these muffins to a party tomorrow. And I agreed to bring dessert. So they're going to travel. And I don't know if you have these in the UK, Simon, but what I find is they're wonderful for storage as well as traveling. And I'll show you what I'm using in just a minute because we're just about ready to pour things in, with the exception of a pinch of salt. Well, maybe 2. There we go. Just to make everything meld together. Oh, this is yummy. And as Simon said, if you're used to munching on batter, this is the stuff that's good. You get to lick the bowl afterwards. All right. There we have our batter. And I'll let you see how that looks. And we're going to pour into our cups. This is the aluminum one. And I'll use the other one in just a moment. We're just going to make sure everything is settled in there. I just want to give it one more mix. And get my spatula, if I can find it. Here we go. Ha! Just to make sure that my aim is okay. And fill the cups about 2/3 of the way. And as the batter goes in, the cup will fall down into the lovely place where it belongs. Oops, and you can always come back and add a teeny bit more. But about 2/3 of the way, pardon me, is good because they will rise. Okay. I believe we have one full one there. Ready for the oven. And actually, I'm going to fill the other one first. This is a regular tin or aluminum or steel muffin cup or muffin tin, excuse me. And I'm going ahead and fill that as well. This recipe makes about 18 to 24 muffins. And we have a little piece of zucchini hanging in there. So we're going to fill up the cups. One of the things I like to do is make enough so that if I want to, I can freeze these, and they will freeze nicely. The batter freezes beautifully if you don't want to use the whole thing all at once. And then take it out about at least 30 minutes before you're going to use it so that it becomes more liquid again. It defrosts. And you could put it in the microwave, but I'd be afraid of that because it might start it cooking. So let's just let it sit for about 30 minutes or so till it becomes nice and juicy like this again. There we go. They're filled about 2/3 of the way. So we'll put both of these in. And the oven is at 325. I'm not sure what that equates to in the UK, but it's kind of a medium low oven. It doesn't have, I don't have those, the cheaters as I call them, to see what they are. And so we'll put those in for 30 minutes or actually 25. I found if I put them in for 25 first and then check them with a toothpick all the way through one of them to make sure that the toothpick comes out clean, they may be done in 25 minutes. It depends on your oven and how hot it actually gets at that temperature. So there we go. Now for our chocolate cream cheese frosting. We're going to give this a little bit of a swipe. Okay, I like working on a clean surface. There we go. And our ingredients for the frosting have been sitting out all night, just waiting for me to utilize them. We have, I'm using the European butter, so it's half of it, which is 8 tablespoons. And that would amount to, well, 6 tablespoons are 30 milliliters. Excuse me. I take that back. 8 tablespoons is 118 milliliters of butter. And you use 8 ounces of cream cheese. And I'm going to take my cream cheese first and put it in the bowl. And it is soft. It's just regular cream cheese. It's not the whipped kind. It's just a regular cream cheese. And my fork. And I'm using a fork to just soften that up. Then I'm going to take my 8 tablespoons of butter. 8 tablespoons, if you have the regular butter that's a long, thin one, it's the whole thing. So therefore, I'm using half of the European butter, which equates to the same thing. Ah, beautiful. So we whip that together with my fork. Actually, I could use the whisk. I like to mix with the fork many times because it's just a different tool and it works beautifully most of the time. So I'm mixing my butter and my cream cheese thoroughly. And then we're going to take, the recipe calls for, again, 3 cups of powdered sugar. However, having made this before, I've used about 2 cups rather than the 3 cups. And you could cut it in half even more if you like, because with the butter and the cream cheese, the frosting has a richness that is absolutely wonderful. And of course, with the chocolate in there, it gets even better. So I'm going to take my powdered sugar. Where's my little dry cup? There we go. And I'm going to measure it carefully. And if you don't have a scoop, this is one of my favorite tools. Good old-fashioned scoop. You can use it for ice cubes. You can use it for food. Okay, there we have 1 cup. And we'll start with that. Mixing it in, again, dry into wet. And mixing it thoroughly. And it's going to get thick. And I think I'm going to switch over to my whisk. And use that. Here we have. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit more sugar. So this is only a cup of the sugar. And it does call for 3 cups because it is frosting. But as I say, I've found that for me, that's a wee bit too sweet. And again, the chocolate, the richness of the butter and the chocolate in it really makes it delicious. And it cuts down on the calories and sugar consumption just to make it a wee bit healthier, or more healthful, as we say. And remember, again, this is frosting, so I'm going to add Actually, I'm going to add just about a half a cup more. Oop, scoop. Yep. There we go. And I've got a gadget to show you. When I was a child and my mom or my grandmother used to bake, they used to take either aluminum foil or waxed paper and make a cone. They would roll it around and make it into a cone shape, into which they would make sure they could tie it, make sure it was sealed so that it was this wonderful little cone, almost like a funnel. And then they would take the frosting and put that in there and use that. And then somewhere along the line, in the gadget department, someone came out with a little tube, almost like a syringe, but it held the frosting. And that was usable. It was even better because you pushed a little plunger on the thing and used it. I don't know if everybody remembers that. But at any rate, okay, here we go. A wee bit of salt. And a teaspoon of vanilla. And so we'll mix that in. And then I'm going to grab the cocoa because we need a half a cup of that. And again, my scoop. And I'm pretty good at this, so I'm just going to measure about half a cup in there. And if it's a little more, it'll be a little more chocolatey. And mix that in slowly, because otherwise you'll have a chocolate font and it will be all over the place. And it makes for a messy cleanup, but it's fun. There we go. So we've got our frosting. Aha. And it does get quite thick, and it has to be fairly thick to maintain its consistency on top of your cupcakes. So here we go. I'm going to hold it up so you can see how thick it's getting, which is like frosting. And there we go. And sometimes you just have to do that with the whisk. And eventually, we will end up with a smooth frosting. And since I've made this a little earlier, we're going to take the frosting, and here's my new gadget, which I haven't used yet. So we're all doing this together. And I'm going to take this frosting, which that will be in a minute, and I'm going to try to put it carefully inside this lovely little bulb. Because in place of the syringe, we now have a bulb. Let's see how this works. Woohoo! Who says cooking isn't fun? Aha! I'm going to put it in till it hits the top. You can see the consistency of the frosting now. And if it comes out a little bit thicker, then feel free to put it for just a couple of seconds into the microwave so that it softens it a bit. You don't want to cook it. Okay, we've just about reached the top. That's good. So, now this little gadget comes with a variety of tops that have different shapes so that you can get really fancy with your frosting and make squiggles or swirls or whatever you like. And since the last one I did, or the first one, is I did with a fork, we're going to take this and let's see how this gadget works. We're in this together now. I'm going to start by just squeezing. Oh, look at that. Just carefully around the side of the top. And there's the start. And of course, we can build it up in the middle. Kind of make a ribbon. Oh, this is pretty. This is fun. Okay, so there's one. Another one. Whoops. It's good. And this one I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to start in the middle and go around the outside. So we have ribbons. So you can get very clever with these and creative. And there we go. We'll go back to the middle and put a little swirl on top. Now I do have a couple of other tops, but I think I'll stick with this one for a while. And so there we have it. You've got your finished zucchini cupcakes with the chocolate frosting. They come out beautifully out of the parchment paper. And I'm just going to take a little bite.
I'm drooling over here, Ricki.
Absolutely divine. The texture is very interesting in a cupcake because it's very moist. And since I use the almond flour rather than regular flour, wheat flour, it's very moist and it has a lovely consistency to it. And the chocolate and I don't taste the zucchini. There might be a little bitty taste. Richard tried one yesterday and he said he could taste the zucchini. Everyone's palate is a little bit different, but as far as I'm concerned, these are chocolate, healthful, yummy cupcakes. So enjoy, and there'd be a perfect complement to your ravioli.
Delicious. Oh my gosh.
I rinse my hand.
That looks fantastic, Ricki. You've got an audience here. These guys are watching, and this one's even got a spoon. He wants to lick the bowl.
Okay.
Well, let me spotlight you, Simon, so we can see that. There you go. I love it.
Oh my goodness. Well,
your 325 degrees equates to about 160 degrees over here.
Over there. Okay, and here you go, one for each hand.
Oh, delicious.
Oh my goodness.
My.
Well, let me show you one
Those
other thing quickly. The reason I use the aluminum is they come with covers, and the covers, as you can see, they adapt to the icing. So you can put
very
the icing
nice
as high as you want, and they're marvelous for storage and for gifts.
That's so upsetting when you get a cupcake and the icing is all messed up and it's gone. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Ricki, tell us about your little bulb again. Where can we find this icing bulb?
This was at one of the regular grocery stores here, HEB. They have a kitchen. I'm sure you'll find it as a kitchen store. And they come in different colors. I chose purple because I kind of like the eggplant look. And they were very inexpensive considering what they are. And they're easy to clean. I don't use the dishwasher on them. And they're stainless steel, the little tops. The other two tops are just a cone. They're hard to see because they're little. Just a cone. And this one has, I don't know if you can see it. Let me see. Can you see the configuration?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So
we got that.
Next. But it comes with the three of them, and I really love using it. It's fantastic. It's instead of taking a knife and swirling and fooling around with that, 1, 2, 3, you're done, and it's pretty.
Ta-da!
Yeah,
Right.
there
Ta-da.
are so many kitchen gadgets on the go, and a lot of them, you sort of think, why did they ever bring this one out? Because it makes life more difficult. But that is a brilliant idea.
It's absolutely
It's so
fabulous.
simple. Yeah.
It is. And by the way, I see there's a number of people who are watching on the different platforms. Don't be shy. We would love for you to just put something in the comments. We see you're
please.
there. We see you're there. So if you want any information about the recipes or anything to know about Ricki or Simon, just go ahead and put it in the comments.
Oh, I have something exciting. I've been working on this for almost 3 years now. My ebook is about to be published. And so I will have an ebook. It's called Yes, You Can Eat Well and Eat Right. And it's a guide to buying organic and stretching your food dollar. And it includes over 20 recipes, one for each of the organic foods that are mentioned in it. And it will be available on my Patreon page probably by the end of December. So, or hopefully before Christmas. I'm hoping. I got my fingers crossed. The publisher and I are working very closely together so that it will be available on patreon.com/Ricki McHealthy, MCHEALTHY. And as you can see, it's Ricki with an I. So, announcement.
Announcement. Congratulations, Ricki. That's quite exciting. Just in time for the holidays.
I hope.
It is.
Got my fingers
Good timing.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to be closing out. Simon, what would you like to share? And maybe your friends have something they want to share for people as we go into the weekend.
I think you just got to eat fish. You've got to eat lots of it. It's so good for you. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's natural as can be. It's really as organic as you can get as well. Wild fish swimming out there in the sea, fabulous. And enjoy it. And don't overcomplicate it. Recipes, yep, they're there. Follow them to the letter of your baking, but use them for inspiration and a guide, and just add your own bit to it. Be creative. Be imaginative.
Mm-hmm. I second.
And how do people get in touch with you for your recipes, Simon?
Well, there we are. It's going along the bottom of the screen right now. You can email me at macdonaldsimon@ymail.com. It's just the letter Y mail, not Gmail, and it's Macdonald Simon, all one word.
Thank you. Thank you. And for people who... Sorry, Simon. For people who are watching, you can actually get all the contact information in addition to the banner. It's actually posted in all of the social media platforms in the comments section. Ricki, McKenna, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, they can call me. The telephone is listed there, and I will have, I'll spell it correctly next time. It's Ricki's Kitchen. And it's rickiskitchen.net, which will bring you to my email, which is Ricki@rickimckenna.com. And I will happily share my recipes with you. They are on Patreon. So this recipe, as well as the others that I do, will be on Patreon. And I invite you to come join me on Patreon, as well as rickiskitchen.net.
Okay.
And have an absolutely lovely evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much, Ricki. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We look forward to seeing you next week when we've got some more delicious meals that are being whipped up by our celebrity chefs. And our next show today is presenting Pet Psychic Amina, and we welcome Psychic Reverend Dottie Boone back. She joins us from California. Okay, that's all for today, folks. And we look forward again to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye. Next week.
Yep. See you.